How's it going, everyone? Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Today I have with me two awesome guests. It might be three. We might have TA Texan jump in a bit. Oh, there he is. So I'm going to go ahead and bring them in one at a time. So as they come in, I want to hear you guys make some noise in the comments as they jump in. So I'm going to bring in, first off, let's get Raven Diamond Hands in here. How you doing, Diamond Hands?
Hey, everyone. Arya Stark here for the show. I also brought with me my Game of Thrones books, and I want to hear in the comments who your favorite Game of Thrones character is. Let's go. Hopefully it's not someone who got beheaded, though the odds aren't in your favor.
Oh, geez, what was his name? The one that got beheaded, like in the first season?
Ned Stark. I was shocked that happened in the first season.
He was my favorite one. He was definitely my favorite one.
He's a great actor. He's in Lord of the Rings, too.
Yeah, he's great. A lot of them were in Lord of the Rings, right? They were kind of like, they got a lot of...
Yeah, they go in all these kind of similar movies, it seems.
Yeah, I see the Hound. The Hound, he was awesome for sure.
Yeah.
Arya's best friend.
Oh, yeah, we're buddies. There we go.
Yeah. All right, let's get Obi-Wan in here. How you feeling, Obi-Wan?
How's it going?
Right on. And you excited for the Obi-Wan show, right, Obi-Wan?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, May 25th.
Yeah, look at you. All right, and then we got TA Texan.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
All right, I had to go throw away those old headphones and go steal my work one, so I'm not going to go wireless like the rest of you. And big Game of Thrones fan. My daughter's actually named Lyanna after Lyanna Stark, so.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Hey, congrats, man. Let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to be breaking down the financials for Voyager, and then we are also going to be comparing them with a few other companies. Obi-Wan came up with that idea. So Obi-Wan, you want to go ahead and share some of the other companies that we're going to compare Voyager with?
Oh, yeah. I think it would just be kind of cool because I get questions sometimes of, hey, how do I find the information that you guys find about, the token or about the companies, and how can you compare what Coinbase has done in the past versus what Voyager's doing? So I just kind of want to walk through the basic data gathering stuff. And then Diamond Hands has, a better summary. Her video was awesome earlier today, and Stone Cold does the good tweets. So they're going to present the data probably better than I would, but I just wanted to cover finding the data and talking about it. So every site's a little bit different in terms of where you can kind of go dig it, but there's some similarities there, hopefully.
Yeah. So we're going to go over and check out how to find the data and all that, so you guys know how to do it for yourselves. By the way, quick shout out for Diamond Hands. She's also a YouTuber, so if you guys haven't subscribed to her, go on and subscribe to her channel. I'm pretty sure most of y'all are, but if you're not, go do it now. Like now. All right. Obi-Wan, I'm going to go ahead and share your screen, yeah?
Yeah, that should be fine.
All right. There we go.
All right. So we're going to go start the basics here. bestvoyager.com. And how most websites work is under the About section, or maybe at the bottom on the sitemap of a web page, you'll kind of have links to some of the more pertinent information. So there's usually an investor relations or investor link. There's also a newsroom where there's press releases and information. Sometimes you can find the information you're looking for in either place. In another place on Voyager's site, you can hit About and go right to this place really quick. So if we go to investor relations, across the top, you have the overview, the press releases, any upcoming events, any research items you can find here. And there's a link even here to the CEDAR filings, which is where you can find any official press releases or anything that would go through the regulatory bodies. You can basically, it takes you to a site like this. And then this is where you can look at new filings. You can search for a company. And then searching for Voyager Digital, we find news releases, and then we find financial statements. And that was one of the things I've downloaded that we'll be going over later. So just wanted to point that out. Now, sometimes the information you find on this page is not exactly as high level as you want. Sometimes you have to go to the press release and get the information from the news. And this is where you find the announcement from today. Kind of gives Steve's overview of the current quarter, and then some of the highlights just to kind of absorb the information at a glance. And then, of course, there's the links to additional information. And they've even cut out some of the information from like the CEDAR filing or the financial statement right here in picture form, so you can get a lot of the pertinent information at a glance without having to go into all like the legalese and the confusing numbers that aren't going to make a lot of sense to non-financial people.
Is there a way that you could kind of zoom in a little, because the numbers look very small, at least from my screen?
Yeah.
Kind of like pinch it. There you go. That looks much better.
Yeah. So this would be where you could go in and you could see this is for the 3 months that ended in December versus the June quarter. So they kind of showing you a 6-month view and the more recent quarter view. You can go through the assets, the liabilities, the equity. And this is kind of where I like to look right here is the revenue statement. So comprehensive revenue, including incomes and losses. So here's where you get for the first time the breakdown of how much revenue is coming out of the different revenue streams. So you can see here the transactional revenue, that'd be what we make on the trades. That's the 86.5 million right there. Merchant services would be Coinify with their payment services. Fees from crypto asset loans is the rehypothecation. So that's the money they get from lending out crypto and stable coins to the institutional borrowers. And then, of course, the staking revenue through the Blockdaemon and Fireblocks relationships that they have. That's where the revenue pass-through would be. And then other is anything that doesn't fit into one of the main buckets, kind of your miscellaneous rounding error interest, stuff like that. So that is your total revenue view. And for this most current quarter, it was their best quarter ever, which is awesome. 165 million. We'll round up because it's more fun to round up that way. The only time you want to round down is when you're trying to measure how quick you can do the Kessel run and run down your parsecs to make you faster. But in financials, we round up. So if anybody got that Star Wars reference, feel free to comment. So in this right here, you'll see the expenses, and they break down the expenses. A lot of times the categories will line up. So you have rewards paid to customers. This would be what they pay for the VLP. So last quarter it was $73 million. Marketing and sales is pretty self-explanatory. That's, money they're paying for advertisers and getting the word out. Merchant services would be the expenses of running the payment network. So you see here, the business cost was 15.497. The revenue brought in was 15.844. So if you were to subtract the two numbers, you would get the, what was that? $350,000 that would be the net profit coming from the Coinify business.
Okay.
And then share-based payments and compensation to employees, and then some other operating expenses like general administrative and onboarding computers, contractors, that kind of thing. At the end of the day, you get to the bottom line. Hey, what's the bottom line? And in this case, it is 2.588 net income, which is a profitable quarter, which I believe is their first profitable quarter. So another good sign. You can see here in past quarters, there's been operating losses. And so we have a 2 cents earnings per share, 1 penny diluted, but hey, we'll take it.
Now, I think Diamond Hands, right? I watched your video and it was awesome. So if you guys haven't seen that video, also go check out her video. It's awesome. It's awesome. So Diamond Hands, I know that you kind of mentioned something of the whole EPS, right? The earnings per share, that it was only 2 cents. I think that they had estimated, what was it, like 28 cents was what was estimated, right? But you made it.
I'm recording.
You made it sound so good, right? How even though it was a miss, why was it still good? Like, can you kind of break it down for us?
Yeah, that's a good point, investing guy. I mean, so with a lot of these newer high growth companies, in general, the focus is going to be on expansion and growth. And I think, we did see analyst expectations based on what I've seen on Yahoo Finance from like 8 analysts. That was 28 cents for the quarter, which was going to be their first profitable quarter, which everyone was excited about, of course. And so, yeah, if you look at 2 cents versus 28 cents, that's technically a miss on EPS. Now, during the conference call, an analyst kind of asked about this, like, how are you feeling about profitability? And the response is kind of, we're comfortable with where we're at because our focus right now is growing our funded accounts and growing the number of assets under management. So it's kind of that same thing. But with that said, we still saw profitability here. And for how new this company is and how fast they're growing, it's very rare to find a company that's growing this substantially and also is making money on the bottom line. So in that frame, I mean, I was happy to see just anything, even close to zero, even if they were going to miss like 5 cents, like negative 5 cents, I still would have been okay with that. As long as they're kind of showing growth and not going backwards, getting less profitable, we just want to see them continue making that progression. And I think, from my point of view, that's probably the right focus for them. They want to, focus on their product and focus on expansion. And then down the line, once they're fully, built out, they can start worrying about, how to improve that profitability. But it's definitely something that's going to be on the mind of investors going forward. So we'll just keep watching those EPS numbers in the coming quarters as well.
Yeah. So we definitely saw the price of the stock fall today, and I'm guessing that's probably why. It was the miss on the EPS. So it was down a few percentage points. I think it was down almost 2%. So I'm guessing it's probably because of the EPS miss. Because if I'm looking at these financials, things are looking quite nice. But yeah, the only negative was, well, what a lot of people look at, and it's the earnings per share. So
yeah, it's an interesting point. And I mean, this was kind of kick-ass earnings, honestly, from my point of view. The revenue growth that they posted, I mean, if you go over on the analysis tab there, Obi, and it might have already updated on us, but the analyst estimate was 104 million for the quarter. Yep, it's still there. And they did 165. So they completely crushed it. I mean, you don't see, that's over like a 60% beat. That's nuts. So, I mean, you would think that the stock would pop on that, but we also already knew this, right? This was released a month ago that they were going to crush it. So, potentially investors were looking to dig into the numbers a little bit deeper and kind of found something like that that didn't cause it to pop. I mean, I was surprised. I listened to the conference call and then the market opened and it popped right away. It went up back up over $9. It was up like almost 10%. But then as the day went on, it just kind of declined, which it was a little disappointing on a day when all the markets were up, cryptocurrencies were up as well. So was hoping for a big pop on it, but obviously we didn't see that.
Yeah, I think that's huge. That we saw, Bitcoin rally, everything's kind of green today, and the Voyager stock's been trading alongside, Bitcoin, and today, it decides to go down when Bitcoin's going up. But I think that's the only explanation, at least that I can think of, because I did look at the earnings report and everything looked good. It looked fine to me except the EPS. So I think that's the only explanation, at least for me, that I have, unless if you guys have anything else to add to that.
Obi, if you go back to the Cedar filing, you can compare what the transaction revenue was from the previous quarter, and that doubled. And I think it was either the staking tripled. Was it staking or what was the other one they had there?
Wait,
Yeah.
The earnings from staking tripled? Or
yeah, I'll wait for Obi-Wan to pull them up before we.
Yeah, they also made a comment in the conference call that their goal for the quarter between lending and staking revenue was to be 50 million, and they had 57 million between the two. So they kind of beat their own expectations, and they're looking to kind of grow that staking revenue as compared to lending and really kind of push on the staking side. So that was just some added commentary that I think was brought out from some more questions from analysts as well.
Was it really November the last time we got a? I guess it was.
Yeah, there was that big long 4-month delay where we had like back-to-back earnings in 2 weeks.
It sure felt like a long time in the crypto desert of the last November through January. Looks like we're rebounding a bit, which is nice. But okay, so yeah, this would have been the first report, I guess, where they did break out I don't remember this being broken out with the merchant services. I remember the lending, but this is cool.
Yeah, on today's filing, they have both the 6 month and then the 3 month. So if you just subtract it, you can easily find
Yeah,
out.
you can.
Mhm.
Because they don't really spell it out quarter by quarter.
Yeah, the 81.5 million in revenue in the September quarter compared with probably on a different tab for this.
Yeah. So then talking about staking also, I think it was something new, right? That revenue stream, staking is one of their newest revenue streams. So to see it at 57 million is quite interesting. Do you know, Texan, do you know when they started the receiving income from the staking?
I know they had it on the last filing, so for the
Yeah.
end of year, that was on there, and I think that might have been the big one that really took off because DJ Crypto, he was in one of the spaces today, and he brought up all the new coins they're bringing on. What was it, like 10 coins the other week? Like a majority of them are DeFi, so there's a lot of staking opportunities on those ones.
Got it. I think it says it right there, right? Staking revenue.
Yeah. So here's the 6 months, and then here's the most recent quarter. So, I mean, 165 million with staking it being at 20, and as we saw previously, 7.7 before in the September quarter. But I don't believe they were all operational with staking revenue for all 3 months of that quarter. I believe it was only maybe 1 month out of that quarter, which I think is why it looks lower. I believe this is the first full quarter with staking revenue.
While we're on the topic of revenue and kind of EPS, Obi, I'm sending in the chat just a link. I don't have this file anymore, but if you just click that link and then pause the video once you get on it, I have some comparisons of the valuation with Robinhood and Coinbase that might be helpful as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, yeah. Okay, so, we can take a peek at this too. So this was from what they released last month, which was kind of the preliminary numbers. But you see that, the 165 million compared to last quarter, that was only 81.5, so over double that. And then the big kicker is really when you compare the quarter from 2020, right? Only 3.6. This is just insane. This is when I'm like, this stock could be trading at such a rich valuation that it's like not even funny, but it's just not. Obi, just like look on the scroll and just skip to when you see, yep, right there, just click there. This is what I wanted to share. So here's some comparisons in terms of valuation between three kind of competitors. So we have Coinbase, Robinhood, and then Voyager stock. So what we do with these revenue numbers, or what I like to do with the revenue numbers, is start to look at how that equates to a price to sales ratio, and then eventually a price to earnings ratio when they reach profitability. So if we start at like Coinbase, right? Because this is, it recently IPO'd, it got all the hype, it was constantly on CNBC. When I made this, right, this is a little bit old, so things might have been updated, but the gist is still there. So like Coinbase trading at like $177 with a market cap around 47 billion, and their revenue is set to be around 7 billion. And the analysts actually have them with negative growth for the next year, for 2022, which is very interesting. Seems like, I don't know if they're pricing in, competitors stealing some market share, or if they're pricing in like a decline in the crypto markets. That could be debated. Now, Coinbase is planned to be profitable in 2022, EPS 6.69. So with that revenue, that puts them at a price to sales of 6.5, and their PE would be 26.5. Now, this isn't crazy, in my opinion. Usually when you have a growth company like this, that's in an industry that's growing and expected to grow for many, many years in the future, a PE in the 20 to 30 range is not uncommon at all. Now, Robinhood, you can't do a PE because they actually aren't going to be profitable in 2022, or aren't expected to be. They're expected to lose 74 cents. But on a price to sales ratio, given their revenue of like 2.27 billion, that puts them at a price to sales of 4.7. So they're trading cheaper than Coinbase. But now look at us, Voyager, right? With the lowest market cap, 1.2 billion, and then expected revenue for 2022, 528 million. I think this is low, but that would be over 200% growth and expected profitability, right? So this is where those quarterly numbers are going to come into play. So they're expecting them to start, getting about 25 cents of EPS a quarter at least. That would get them $1.15 and puts them at a forward P of like 6 and a price to sales of 2, which is just, absolutely ridiculous in my opinion. It's interesting. Like there could be a lot of questions on why is Voyager not being respected. I don't really like to say that, but they're certainly undervalued compared to peers. So it's not just, this stock is like a crypto stock, so investors don't want to invest in it. I don't think that's the reasoning behind it if you look at some of their competitors. So it could be that it's still trading on OTC, which is why, I was definitely hoping to hear something about NASDAQ today. I don't think we heard that, but, we've heard Steve like say that they're planning on it eventually. I really do think that would have a high impact on the stock just to bring in, hedge funds and big money into this stock, which I think is what we need, is just, more volume basically on this stock. I really think that's the key driver and why it's so undervalued. But just wanted to share that in terms of, when we look at these revenue numbers every quarter, this is why it matters, right? On a comparative basis. And in my opinion, it should trade at a 20 to 30 forward PE, about where Coinbase is, right? So it's not there. Like it could easily be $20 to $30 stock right now and be fair value, in my opinion. But that's just not where it's trading right now. But it definitely shows, the potential of this one.
Yeah,
I agree. I think it should be $30 if you're looking at the comps easily. There's even private companies that don't even offer the products that Voyager have that are valued at higher than 1.2 billion. Like I Trust Capital, and you've seen BlockFi and Celsius get some pretty high valuations, private valuations lately, and some funding. And it's almost criminal how cheap Voyager is right now.
Definitely. You think? Just a quick little. I want to get your guys' insight. But if Voyager starts trading in U.S. markets? Do you think that it'll continue at that PE ratio? I know what I believe deep down inside is like, no, it's going to go up quickly. So I think if you act now and, purchase at least some shares, while it's not in U.S. markets, you're probably doing a smart move.
Yeah, I agree. Investing guy. And part of it, it's just kind of the way things are, right? When Coinbase IPO'd, they were on CNBC Squawk Box every single day. They were getting so much press time, so many articles written about them. Now, Voyager actually has more press than I've seen for other stocks on the OTC markets, which I think is a good sign. I've seen Steve on Fox Business and on CNBC before. So I think when they get on that major listing on a major exchange, that's just going to bring them on more, and that brings more publicity. And then people will start to look at this, what we're sharing here, right? Then they're going to say, oh, what's this Voyager stock? It's now on the NASDAQ. It's similar to Coinbase. It's in that same type of industry, but Coinbase is trading at 4 times the valuation. Maybe I should invest in Voyager. But then some people still aren't aware, that it's an option in all reality, right? They hear the name Coinbase and Robinhood and SoFi even, you could maybe consider as a competitor more often than Voyager stock. So completely agree. I think it's a great time to get in now. And when it is fairly valued, it's just going to shoot up.
Agreed.
And since they did the share conversion, a lot of people, depending on what broker you have, they're getting hit with a $50 international charge on some of those purchases. So if I can't DCA into Voyager stock right now because I'm not paying $50 to buy, 2 shares. So I'd be interested to see what happens if NASDAQ listing comes on, if that volume really picks up, because unless I get a substantial sum of money, I'm a cheap bastard. I don't want to pay $50 just to get a couple stocks. So
I hear you. I paid for my last one where I hadn't paid previously before this, the switch over with the legal company. But I had to make a sizable purchase. It wasn't every 2 weeks throw a little bit in with the 401k, right? It had to be more sizable to make it worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely
$50, yeah. That's a lot. That's tough, especially
7 shares.
Maybe you just buy $50 a day or anything like that. If you're just kind of putting in small sums, why would you buy $50 if you're going to pay $50? It just doesn't make sense. But if anyone's wondering, I don't know if we can all kind of share. I use E-Trade and I've always had to pay $5. So before the change and now after the change, I've always had to do a $5 fee whenever I buy those shares. I know Fidelity is kind of the kicker with the $50, but at least E-Trade's a little better than that. But it's a good point. If we get on the major exchange, that goes away. Maybe that does, bring in a higher influx of retail investors, right? We just don't want to have to pay those fees every time.
Yeah. I think I use Ally and I put it onto my Roth IRA, and there's no fee on there. I just need to make sure it's a $100 purchase. So.
Yeah, of course I have Fidelity. Before the conversion, it didn't cost me anything. I had it in my rollover IRA. Now it's anytime pull the trigger, it's $50.
Same. Yep. Fidelity.
Nice. Cool. Do you want to look a little bit more closely into the reports, or what should we do? What do you think?
Well, I think I'll you just kind of saw an easy way that you can find the information on Voyager's site. I think going back to, if I zoom back out, sorry, I'm still learning how to use the
zoom out, zoom in.
No, not so much that, just switching between apps and stuff. I swear I downloaded like multiple reports and I can't find them down here on my.
I see what you mean. Hey, Fluffy, how's it going, man? How's everyone doing? Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it.
I did want to call out a few of the bullets. So one thing we've talked about a lot on Spaces has been verified users versus funded accounts, and how successful Voyager's been in converting verified users into funded accounts. So it's this bullet right here. Total verified users on the platform, 3.2 million, up 49% from where they were a year ago. I mean, that's awesome, right? That's massive. But 1,074,000 funded accounts, which is up 25% from even last quarter. So I'm sorry. So they went up 49 in
a quarter. Yeah.
In a quarter, yeah. Sorry, 49% in verified and 25%.
So if we went a year, it would be like what?
Yeah. No, they went
crazy up, percentage. Yeah.
Yeah, they went up from 40,000 to 1 point.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so crazy growth, right? So I mean, if you just do the simple math, 1,074,000 divided by 3.2 million, you're going to get roughly 33%, right? So let's just use the horrible built-in calculator on my computer. I think that looks right. Divided by 3.2. Yeah, 33.5%. That's pretty good. That's consistent with where they were in the Mavs quarter, or the Mavs quarter that, they were 40% the quarter before that. So they dipped a little bit with the Mavs promo down to 33%, but that's still really good. So just let's remember that 33% conversion rate as we look at some of the other companies. The other thing I would point out here is that, they're bringing in the AUM, which is, I think in one of these bullets here, it was 5.8 billion AUM. 5.8
total assets on platform.
Yeah, here we go. 5.9 billion versus 4.3 billion the quarter before. Now this was forecasted to be 7 billion. I think at the time Steve was announcing the Mavs deal in October and the market was hotter, it was 7 billion. But with the horrible last 2 months of 2021, it dipped down to 5.9 billion. But even 5.9 billion is not too bad, right?
Yeah. Even on the earnings call, well, you would imagine that, the new funded accounts was 49%, but the total assets on platform did not grow 49%. But on the earnings call, if any of you guys tuned in, Steve did, I believe it was Steve, but he did mention that now they're seeing a new wave of investors. You're getting these people that are putting in little amounts here and there until they get comfortable. So they're, you're not getting these people that are, completely aping into crypto. You're getting these people that are, slowly trying to purchase a little bit of crypto here and there, which is probably why the total asset on platforms didn't grow as much as the newly funded accounts.
Yeah, and this is a good number too. So they're 33% successful in moving verified accounts into funded accounts, which is a pretty good closure rate for, well, quite frankly, a lot of sales funnels. That's not bad, but also to have $5,475 in average funded account balance, that's not bad compared to some of the competition as well. I mean, I know that's probably $1,000 higher than I believe what Robinhood is. So we'll go ahead and look at that. But so that kind of covers just high level where you can go to CDAR, where you can go to investor relations on Voyager. Let's do the same thing, but with Coinbase. So if I'm on Coinbase.com, like just to follow the path, if you're on Coinbase.com, you go down to the bottom of the page and there's an investor button, and that takes you to investor.coinbase.com. And then you can also get their financial information, their quarterly earnings, their SEC. They, of course, have presentations as well. Let's look at some of their presentations because that might look prettier than looking at a financial statement.
Now these are companies, the ones that we picked are companies that are publicly traded, by the way. Like, you can't do this with something like BlockFi or something because they're not publicly traded, so they're not required to have this info.
Yeah, and it looks like that we'll do this here. We will go to 2021 quarterly. Third quarter is our most recent one. And then let's look at the 10Q. And let's see what we can find here. So they've got significantly more assets under management. Customer funds, $9 billion.
Is it?
Let's see. I'm making sure. Does it say how they're thousands or millions? It's got to be thousands. 8.9. It should be 8.9 billion.
I want to compare how much Coinbase has on USDC compared to Voyager. I haven't checked that out, but I wonder how many.
Yeah, we can see if they disclose that.
Yeah, I think it had it a little bit higher for Coinbase under the assets on management.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to find the assets under management and funded accounts in this file. I'm kind of scanning through it to see if I can find equivalent information. This may not be the right deck for that.
Yeah.
Change in here's USDC popped up on their statement. Negative 56.7 million. But you can see these are kind of laid out very similarly.
Yeah.
I don't see any user data. This is all just financial data.
And he said Coinbase has 60 million active users.
Yeah, let's see if they have a better. The shareholder letter might have some of the high level stats. Here we go. There we go. This is nicer to look at.
Much nicer.
Yeah. So right here, you can see over time, over the past 5 quarters, how they're monthly transacting users. So this would be like your users that are actually on the platform funding and trading their accounts, right? This is probably the closest comp that we have to Voyager's funded accounts. So, and then the assets on the platform in billions. So the most recent quarter, they had 255 billion. And you see here how they had 8.8 million users that were funded accounts. And then they went down to 7.4 in the third quarter.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So remember how their revenue kind of shifted from retail to institution? I mean, Voyager's users increased.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you get that information. Now, there is another stat that they don't have on this particular page, but that is, verified users or downloaded users. And they were like, I think 83 and 73 million. So they dropped 10 million, downloaded active people that logged into the app, but maybe didn't make a trade. And then you have here people that are actually trading on the account, and that number's dropped. But it's interesting because if you go back in 2019, Coinbase is in the same scenario that Voyager is now. They just passed 1 million funded accounts. It was the, kind of starting to come out of the bear market, but it was largely just a crabby kind of market in 19 and 20. And they went all the way up to, roughly to 2.1 in third quarter to 2.8 to end the year. So this is the kind of the comp that I was using in that model for the tokenomics. So I said it's capable for Voyager to get from 1 million to 2.5 to 3 million customers because it's been done before in a down market, right?
Yeah.
And then you can kind of see, 1 million to nearly 3 million to 6 million to 8 million. So they've really leveled off. They were, basically doubling their funded accounts every year, and that tapered off quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking at, next earnings. I mean, one of the things that I look at the most is the funded accounts. And then I tried to kind of say that the price of VGX moves along with the number of total funded accounts, but that lately hasn't been true. But I am still interested to kind of see how that how it works next earnings. I definitely want to see if the growth has slowed down, which probably, I mean, deep down, I probably think it probably has, but I definitely still want to see some growth. If they can grow during these tough times, I mean, recently picked up a few days ago, the markets, but if they were able to grow during these tough times, that's really good stuff. Yeah,
as with most things that's Voyager related, so much of it depends on that banking product getting out in the hands of people, using it, forcing the company to use that growth pool and paying out the rewards through the debit card program, the new VLP. To me, we have to get the new VLP out there. We need a lower tier so there's more buy side demand on the token. We can get into some tokenomics stuff later, but you can see here they put a little chart going back to Coinbase, the internet adoption versus crypto adoption, and they're making the comparison based on millions of users that were roughly at the tail end of 1997 as of a quarter ago. And you see how closely these are tracking.
Yeah.
So I think the growth is actually faster than the internet and smartphone adoption growth.
Looks like it is, yeah.
Yeah. So here we go. So 7.4 million, a decline of 1.4 million or 16% in our users.
Exactly. So that right there, how we saw a decline on Coinbase, right? That's one thing that I'm definitely going to be looking out for on the next earnings report. Is I want to see growth. As long as I see growth in the users, I think for me that's the number one thing that I look for. It's just how much users do we have on the platform? I mean, looking at how much money they've made, obviously, if you're invested in the stock and whatnot, you definitely want to look at all that stuff too. But for me, the most important metric is funded accounts. And that's one thing that I definitely don't want to see is negative funded accounts, which I don't think we'll see in Voyager just because they do offer a completely different product as Coinbase.
Mm-hmm.
Coinbase, people want to have their assets on Voyager because they're earning yield and they have all these rewards that they could earn. Whereas on Coinbase, you don't have any of that. So I don't know. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
As long as I see downloads and funded accounts growing and revenue and is diversified, which makes them more resilient in times of down market, when the market is not doing well, having diversified revenue helps protect the rewards program that they're paying out. So if I can see growth in the different revenue streams, growth in the funded accounts, growth in the downloads, those are all fundamentally strong things. I can give a little bit of latitude on product launches and timelines and expansion. But if we're growing within the 49 states that we have now, even, and continue to keep up a pace of, as long as the numbers going up, I'm good. The fundamentals are strong. It's exactly. Like you said, if the numbers start to, from a user base and funded account base, start to drop, then there's reason for some concern.
Exactly. Agreed.
So, all right. And custody versus trading, building their custody prime. So that was just kind of the main thing. I wish they showed us the total downloaded accounts.
And Obi, in our chat, I sent a link. I found an article that has kind of the breakdown by platform of all of the retail users, so we can see, the higher level there. Coinbase, you'll see it when you pull it up. It's got Coinbase, it's got Crypto.com, FTX, Voyager, everything on there.
Obi, you gotta like that video.
Huh?
You gotta like the video.
I usually watch them
I caught you, Obi.
It shows what a baby Voyager is, though, right? I mean, there's so much white space between us and some of the other companies. And you can see here, they kind of mark, who's privately or publicly traded. But you can see, Coinbase definitely has, way more than everyone else. But I don't know. In my opinion, that I'd rather be in Voyager's position than in Coinbase's position, because I feel like they're trying to fight, the other growth companies that are coming up and could potentially steal their market share. Whereas Voyager has this great platform and the loyalty program and all of these users who are kind of backing it. It's just like has this incredible growth. So I don't know. I feel like Voyager can definitely steal some of that market share over time. So yeah, I just found this chart helpful in understanding the full landscape.
For sure. Can you zoom in a little bit, or can you do a full screen, Obi?
on the video. Yeah, I can do a full screen. I don't guarantee it's going to make it bigger to read.
Let's see. Oh, there we go. That's a little bit. I kind of want to see there. So we have Trust Wallet.
So what do you want to know? I can read them off: Coinbase, blockchain.com, MetaMask, crypto.com, KuCoin, Trust Wallet, Wobi, Robinhood, Kraken, Blockfolio, Square, Bitstamp, eToro, then Voyager, Uphold, Celsius, FTX, and BlockFi.
Ah, I see. Yeah. I'd be interested to see where FTX is at now, an updated one, because I know it's grown a lot. FTX has been doing a lot of good things lately, but anyway.
FTX has a good international exchange and product suite. Their FTX US is pretty lacking.
Yeah.
And unless you're going just to buy Bitcoin or ETH, they don't really have much selection there. Kraken's difficult to onboard funds on and off of. I don't see any reason Voyager is not going to eventually pass Kraken and Robinhood and Wobi and Trust Wallet.
Yeah.
You start getting to KuCoin and Crypto.com and Coinbase, then you're playing with the big boys.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I mean, in 3-4 years' time, is Voyager going to be able to get up in this 10 million plus users? Yeah. I mean, we just saw it in the example with Coinbase, 1 million to 3 million to 6 million to, knock on the door at 10 million, right? Over the course of 3-4 years. So that type of trajectory is entirely plausible, because we have comps that show us that it is. And those comps that we're even using to, have inferior products to when Voyager has the banking and the stock trading with crypto products actually available.
Yeah. And in terms of all this user growth, I mean, the verified users is great and all, but it's really that funded accounts, right? And the assets under management that people really care about. And that was brought up also in the conference call. There was a question specifically about that conversion rate, right, Obi, that you had mentioned, that we're about 33%. And, Voyager's response was, we feel like 33% is actually fairly good. But with the debit card rollout, they really feel like that's going to have a positive impact on that conversion rate from the verified users to the funded accounts. And that's really because, people are going to be more willing to put some money on the platform, just hold it in USDC, feeling relatively safe, because they're going to know that they're going to be able to spend that if they need to using the debit card. So I do feel like that's definitely going to have a huge impact on that conversion rate and also increase the assets under management. So that's definitely something to watch as well as that gets rolled out and we see those numbers come in the coming quarters. Yeah.
That's a good point, Diamond Hands. I hadn't thought about that, that now you can have USDC that you could spend instantly. Maybe it's because I have a completely different mindset where when I put it on USDC, I have the mindset of I'm not going to spend that. Like that's never. But there is people that are going to want to have it on there and be able to spend it right away. So that's definitely going to probably increase the assets under management. Good thinking.
Yeah, just as adoption grows in general, a lot of these platforms are going to increase. Another thing I'd be remiss to point out is that these platforms up here, these are international platforms.
Yeah.
So more addressable market, but even with more addressable market in the grand scheme of things about the amount how many people we have on this planet, and consider that some of these users are being counted multiple times over. For I mean, how many of us use multiple services, right?
Yeah. Someone has
Yeah.
a quick question. I think Anid had a question. He said, if he puts $1 million into USDC, will he get $90,000? He's asking if there's a limit. Does anyone know? There's currently
There's
no
no
limit,
limit.
right, on USDC? No, there's no limit, Anid. Yeah.
No, you put $1 million in, you'll get 90,000.
Well, it's actually going to be. It's going to
It's
be more than
actually
90.
it'd be
Compound.
93,800 with compounding.
93,800. Yeah. Yeah, it's compounding every month, so that's pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And the comment you made, Obi, about, you know, those top ones that we're looking at that were already kind of international. I think I remember Steve Ehrlich kind of making a comment about in the US of, you know, retail investors in the US, Voyager was number 3.
Yes.
So I'm assuming like on this list, right? Like who would that be? Probably, right? Like Coinbase, then crypto.com, then Voyager.
That's right.
What you expect. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, they're the number 3 crypto platform in the United States. And with only 30 basis points of market penetration. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Less than 1% of the people in the United States have Voyager. I mean, that's how early we are. We have to keep that in mind when we get, frustrated with the rate of adoption. We have to go back to where we were a year from now and look where we are now in terms of the funded accounts, the growth of assets on the platform, the stability and security of the platform. So good compared to where we were a year at this time. I don't remember how many people were around or if people remember, but they had to completely redo their entire app on the fly to scale. And that's the year of 2021 was a building year. It was about scaling. It's about adding customers. 2022 should be the year of bringing product on. 2023 should be expansion. That's going to be the theme.
They're going to do it if they do it correctly. I think you're right, Obi. Go ahead, Ruby.
They even brought that up. Like, I was actually kind of surprised because I feel like, I only recently started using the Voyager app, but I remember before I was using it, I saw comments about, oh, it was down or something like that, and also about the customer service. And I thought it was really interesting in both the press release and in the kind of prepared remarks in the conference call. They stated that, we had this large influx of users and look at our growth, and in the full quarter, ended December 31st, 2021, they had none of those issues, right? No, breakdowns or whatever you want to call it. I don't know, where the app wasn't accessible. And they've scaled their employee base, right? From only like 25 to multiple hundreds. So that's definitely going to help out on the customer service side. So definitely a plus there as well.
Luna.
Luna.
Oh, you can hear that? I thought my mic was on my other.
No, that's awesome, man. What type of dog is it?
Oh, come here, Lou. Come here. Come here. Come say hi. Can you see her?
Oh yeah, she's a cute one.
She's a Siberian Husky Labrador. Luna.
Oh, nice. She barks just like my husky, man.
Yeah.
Just like my husky. They sound exactly the same.
Yeah, that's Luna. So I don't know how we're doing on time, but I think if we just skip real quick over to Robinhood real quick.
Yeah.
Robinhood is obviously mostly a platform for stocks at this point. They have a couple cryptos, but they're self-custody wallets in beta. That's one of the key things. If Voyager can enable more and more transfers, I think what they're going to end up doing is taking a lot of share from the Robinhood crypto base when they get that banking card out, going after a lot of the millennials and Gen Zers that are, using this platform. And they've got 22 million funded accounts trading stocks on this platform, with over 98 billion in assets under management.
Yeah.
So, and they're growing. They're not profitable, but they're growing.
Yeah.
And
So
they're
I think
doing
this was
same
very
things
interesting.
Voyager's
Right?
doing.
Yeah. So you want to go ahead and do the math, Obi? Because I think when we did the math before we started the stream, I thought this was super interesting, right? So what it would be for each account.
Oh yeah. So if you had 22, so $98 billion in assets under management, and it was 22 million funded accounts.
Yeah.
If I just do the average of AUM divided by users, it's $4,455. And Voyager, remind me again, the AUM was 588 billion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just make sure that that has the right amount of commas in it.
Wait, was it 580? I think it was. Let me see.
It's 5,880,000,000, right?
Yeah.
I had
And
5.9.
98 billion. 98 billion. Voyager, I'm pretty sure is 5.88 billion. I think in the charts they're rounded up to 5.9. And then funded accounts was 1,074,000. So if we do the same math, right?
Yeah.
So it's $1,000, $1,020 more than what Robinhood is.
So the average per account. That's
And so when I was going through the whole VLP2 proposal and design, I was thinking, well, if people are only going to be on average, between $4,000 and $6,000 in their funded accounts, it's kind of a big ask for people to take a lot of faith into getting into the Voyager loyalty program at 500 tokens. If the say VGX is $5, that's $2,500, right? That's more than half of what most people hold on these types of platforms.
yeah.
So that's so important to get that 50 token tier, give people some benefits, let them see how the token moves over time and the utility that it provides. And then, today 50 tokens is what, $100? I mean, that's easy. Anybody can get in at $100. Doesn't matter what country you live in. Like
now,
that's possible. So
Obi, can you kind of just a rough explanation how the price of VGX would affect the stock, right? Because does Voyager, like under their filings, I know they hold some Bitcoin, right? Is it under there? Do they also hold VGX under there? So would the price of VGX going up, would it be good also for the stock then, correctly? Am I correct, or am I
Yeah, they have not on this report, but on the more detailed one. So let me shrink this down so I can.
Yeah. Can you guys hear my dog barking? She's barking.
No, I can't.
Okay, cool.
I thought I was using my mic over here, not the one on the computer. So you can hear me fine. It's all good.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. Overview, and then the CDR filing does have all of the details you're looking for.
Yeah.
Which I thought I had downloaded on one of these tabs, but.
Hey, Raven, by the way, if you got it, I know, Raven, you told me you had to leave. So whenever you have to leave, just feel free. I know you have to head out to go to sleep early. Yeah. Get your beauty sleep, you said.
Beauty sleep. Yeah, I'll probably stick around like 5 or 10 more minutes. So I'll be dropping off.
Yeah, I think if Stone Cold wants to do a Etherscan dive or token accumulation, so I think what we've basically concluded, if we were to net out what we've been talking about, the company has a bright future. The fundamentals are strong. The quarterly report was good. If you're a stockholder, you're pretty happy. There's a good chance to acquire more stock at a very good price relative to where they're headed, is what most of us are concluding. And I think there is some constructive criticism on the VLP front that we can talk about in terms of the tokens. And I think that our resident expert on that for so many quarters has been Mr. Mirthless Chud himself.
Yeah, I don't know if we're ready for this. This was quite the punch in the gut. I could not have been more wrong with my estimation of how much we're going to accumulate this quarter. Because I think it was back in November, December, there was like a 15 million token move from the wallet to the staking contract. And everyone pretty naturally assumed that that was Voyager. You know, they had the Mavericks deal, they onboarded a bunch of customers, a lot of VGX being bought up. So that was the assumption of why we were going to see such a big jump. And then when Obi was showing the filings, it breaks down the token ownership and VGX. So I just put a link to a spreadsheet I have in the chat if you want to pull that up.
Yeah, I can. Can you see this? He was asking me on page 9 of the financial statement. These are the crypto assets held on the platform.
Wait, I don't think we can.
54 million tokens held right here.
I don't think we see what you're seeing,
I don't think we
Obi.
can see it, Obi.
Oh, you're not seeing my screen?
We're still
No, I
in
don't
the
think so.
Cedar directory.
Oh, it's on a different. Okay, hold on.
Oh, it's on the. Yeah, you're gonna have to. Remove this one, and then there you go.
Okay. Well, while I'm here,
Yeah.
why don't I make my audio go to the good mic?
Yeah, go for it. Real fast, before you sneak out on us, Diamond Hands. How do you, because you're a stockholder, right? Yeah. So after seeing today's earnings, like, how do you feel?
I felt great. I mean, to be honest, as from the stock point of view, I was looking at a couple things, right? Revenue growth, they knocked it out of the park. A profitable quarter, they had a profitable quarter, right? Slightly profitable. Funded account growth is great. So all the things that I was looking for kind of checked the boxes. I bought the stock today. I also bought some token today. I've been kind of just buying that one a little bit every day while it's, at these low prices. Now, for the token, it's a little bit harder. I mean, I feel like for the token holders, maybe that people were hoping for more of an update on VLP or maybe something about the debit card or something like that to kind of kickstart the token price. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I feel like if we would have heard something about NASDAQ listing, that would have also been huge for the stock. So we kind of checked all the traditional boxes for an earnings report. There just wasn't anything like crazy new, right? There was good things, like we know we're getting dark mode, we're getting the desktop version, stock equities trading is coming, international expansion is coming, but there was no new target date or new, progression that we kind of hadn't already heard in the past. And so that's why I feel like we didn't see some crazy spike up in the price. I feel like if it was, the market's always forward looking, right? And so everything that we heard today, we kind of were expecting or already knew from the earnings release from a month ago, right? That preliminary earnings release. So that's kind of my understanding of what happened. But for me, I'm in it for the long term with both the stock and the token. And I'm definitely happy with the earnings. I'm taking like this broad long-term approach, and the company is growing and kind of hitting all the check marks, and we just kind of got to be patient with the updates. I know it's hard, but they're going to come eventually. And if you just keep the long-term perspective, then I'm definitely happy with it. I'm going to keep buying both the stock and the token.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I hadn't really checked the price of VGX until now. And we kind of see kind of the same movement with the stock and VGX, where they're down both about 2%. So interesting to see that there. Bitcoin's only down about 0.7% on the day, I believe, but VGX is a little bit more down than that. So
yeah, I think it reset recently with UTC time, but it was up 7% today.
Yeah.
Was it VGX? It was up today.
Yeah, I remember when after the conference call, I checked, and right when the markets opened, both the stock and the token were up, pretty big, 8 or 9%. And I was like, whoa, they did it. But yeah, as the day went on, it just kind of declined. So it was interesting, which makes me feel like, maybe there was kind of a pump up. What are we going to see? We know revenue is going to be good and funded accounts are going to be good. Maybe we get that extra special announcement, and then like that extra special announcement just kind of didn't really happen. It's just more of, we know all these good things are coming, and you just kind of got to be patient. So, we'll see what happens in the coming weeks with the price.
Yeah, I think I'm feeling the same way as you are. Kind of where in a stock perspective, everything's good. But as I do own more VGX than I do the stock, right? So in that perspective, not feeling so great. But definitely, I still believe in the company. I know that things will come in the future. It's a matter of patience.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. All right. With that, everyone, I'm going to drop off. Thanks for having me, Investing Guy. I'll catch you all again soon.
All right,
And if
see you, Arya.
anyone in the audience, make sure you subscribe to Diamond Hands. If you're not subscribed,
Diamond Hands Investing / Arya Stark.
There you go.
Let's get our subscriber count up. Yeah.
So going back just to this statement, it's on page 9. You can see the customer assets held. There's 154 million VGX tokens held, which is 15%.
You want me to add your screen?
Yeah, go ahead. I thought you had it already.
There we go. Yeah, got it.
So page 9, here's the top assets held. Bitcoin, VGX, and ADA are the top 3, 16, 15, and 12% respectively, with 154 million tokens held by the community as of December 31st, 2020.
Okay.
Now,
so they own...
No, this is the customer assets held.
Oh, customer assets. Got it.
And then this is what they held the quarter before. So the quarter ending June, there was 139 million, and we moved up to 154 million.
Wow. That's interesting. Look at Doge. Doge just fell on the rankings. That's
Now, one other thing I do want to point out, because we get asked this a lot on Spaces, here's the crypto assets that they loaned. Okay. Now, this is really fascinating to me, because you know how bad the Mayday crash was, and crypto fell off the face of the earth basically from mid-May to really September, and there wasn't hardly any volume going on. It's not too dissimilar to what we're feeling right now in kind of November through January. Look at the amount of borrowing demand that there was in the market, $393 million. Okay. Very little amount of coins being lent out. Most of it was BTC and Doge, shorting Doge, right? This is what institutions usually are borrowing things so they can short them usually, or use them in money markets. Since these ones right here don't really have a whole lot of natural yield, most likely it was in, institutions borrowing assets and then shorting them. But look at the jump from the June quarter to the December quarter.
Wow. Yeah.
So remember how we had everyone was talking about tax loss harvesting, and the market, everyone was talking about this big blow off top that they wanted to see, and well, this right here, why didn't that happen? Grayscale sold off a ton, but also look at all the institutional borrowing and all the shorting that was going on in these assets.
I see.
So you got Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDC, Luna, and Doge. And then here below that, you can see here's the borrowers. They don't name the institutions, but you've got, 5 or 6 large institutional borrowers, market makers, right? So they're the ones borrowing, and here's the rates that they're borrowing at. So, a lot of people ask us again, hey, why do we make 9% on this and 12% on that and 5% on something else? It comes back to how in demand these coins are to borrow and what rates they're borrowing at.
You see.
And Obi,
that's why. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
To put things in perspective, if you go back up to the coins that were lent, back in June, that quarter, that compared to their AUM, that was about 12%. And if you look at the last quarter, it's almost 50% of the AUM is loaned out. That's a pretty crazy jump.
Huge increase in lending, which means that Voyager, people were coming to Voyager, as a lender, which is good for us because it means, revenue.
Got it.
But yeah, I just wanted to call out those are important sections in the report. And then here you can kind of see, here are the crypto assets and fiat payments to customers. So you can literally see how much the company is paying, from quarter to quarter in terms of the assets under management. Look at that. So 2.8 to 5.6. That's a pretty good bump up, right?
Yeah.
And then
So
here
that
you still
was
have,
from the last quarter, right? From quarter to quarter, yeah.
yeah, this is quarter to quarter. So you can see, lots of concentration in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and USDC, coins with boosters. Voyager right after it. And then you have ADA, SHIB, Luna, etc. And in Luna, I'll just point out, props to that one, going up to 4%. And it wasn't even
Wow.
listed in the June quarter.
Yeah, you saw some fall out, definitely. You see Matic in there also made it.
And AVAX is another one that
AVAX.
shot up that wasn't on there before either. So just
Was
kind of gives you an
Solana
idea.
before? Solana wasn't on there either.
Solana was not on there either.
Interesting.
And nor was Matic. So you can kind of see you got some of these Matic, Solana, Luna, AVAX. That was the quarter where they kind of went on a run.
And these are from the ones that they paid. These are ordered from most to from greatest to least, right? Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Okay, so I see VGX went from 3rd to 4th, but they actually paid more. Yeah. Right? Yeah, over here they paid 337.
They paid 337, let's just call it 338. And then it moved up to 442.
Okay, so even though it went down a spot, it still went up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so did the number of coins.
Yeah.
So there was still some decent rewards payouts happening and some coins moving around. So anyways, I just wanted to point out, I think those are some of the more interesting when you're looking at the quarterly report. It's the assets held on the platform, how much the community has, how much the company's paying, what are lenders borrowing at, and that's kind of how that statement works. I will go over to Stone Cold's thing. It's right here. I need access.
Where is share?
Unless you want to share your screen.
It just might be easier. I'm on my wife's computer.
Oh, okay. Well, or if you approve it, I can share it either way. Does this sound better on this mic?
What does that mean, Baroness? Yeah, it sounds better, Obi. That mic sounds better.
Gotcha. Sorry, I thought I was on it the whole time. So yeah. My bad.
No, you're good.
All right, I'll stop sharing.
The comments are going off right now. Although you better not be calling me that's not me, right?
They're probably wondering, why does Obi have his hair up? We came to see the curls. I mean, come on. I kid.
Can you guys see the screen?
Yeah, let me share it for you. There it is.
All right, yeah. So from what Obi was showing you, that was from the June quarter to December, so which is 6 months. And since it's really not easy to go back and compare like a quarter from 3 quarters ago to this quarter, every release I go through and document a couple interesting stats that I really kind of drive my research off of. And so starting back in June, if you look at the number of VGX held by customers, we increase the first quarter by 23 million. The next quarter, we increase by 21. And sorry, this isn't dollars. This is token amount. I changed formatting. But and then in March,
Tia, do you want to zoom in a little? Just a little tiny.
Sure.
There it is.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in March, when everything went, up to $7, everything was going crazy. We had VGX accumulation of 35 million that quarter. So that's over 10 million a quarter that customers were purchasing VGX and bringing it onto the platform. And then, everything started going down. We still had pretty good accumulation. We have 13 million and we had 14 million. And then this is where things really got interesting because it was the first thing I go to when I open the filings. And from last quarter to this quarter, it only increased by 375,000 tokens. And the inflation for the 7% rewards is almost like a million a month, roughly. So there was 3 million paid out for the 7%. And, all that has basically been spent or, sold, and now it's on Binance, Coinbase, somewhere else. So that's one that really stood out, and it's not sustainable. So I know Obi has a lot of hot opinions about the VLP and ways to improve it. Because I know a lot of people would scream about inflation. It's like, well, it doesn't matter because the customers are buying so much VGX that you can have 3 million inflation when we're purchasing 10. But when you only have 375, that's when it's going to be a problem. So you either need to start increasing the purchase of VGX for customers, or you really need to increase that utility where people don't want to sell it anymore.
So on the quarterly filing, we were just going over the 154 million in row 5. Can you walk through so people understand your rows 5, 6, and 7?
So those are broken out. The first one is what Voyager holds on the platform. So those aren't all owned by the customers. The majority are, but there's some that are owned by Voyager itself through whatever mechanism they have. I think they still have VGX left over from when they. I mean, it's not confirmed, but we're pretty sure they purchased it when they ran out before the VLP was implemented back in February. So they do hold a little bit of VGX. The 148 million is what is payable to customers right now. So if everyone pulled off all their VGX from the platform, it'd be 148 million tokens that are owed to customers. And then what Voyager holds is 154 million. So, they have about 5.5 million VGX that's not included in the growth pool.
Got it. So I think this pretty much solidifies, right, that there's VGX being sold off, right?
That's exactly what I tweeted out today. It's always been, it's rewards day. It's getting sold off. We're gonna have a little bit of a dip. And I even went through and kind of looked at the day before, day of, and day after. And there were some, but it wasn't enough to really make a difference. But I mean, you can't highlight this any better of only 375,000 tokens being accumulated when just from 7%, this is including the growth pool and what that paid out, which I think was like 1.8 million roughly. So there's a lot of selling that's going on right now. And, in some, it might be the VLP delays. People are tired of that. Might be the 11 months that VGX has been in the downturn. That's a long time to see your investment go down. So I'm sure a lot of people capitulated when they don't really have the perseverance or faith in their investment. And then you just have the general market that's really tanked the last couple months. So it's kind of a perfect storm of there's just VGX holders are getting hit every which way, and some just don't have the conviction in their investment.
Also, it's tax loss harvesting and the LGO arbitrage sell-off.
Yeah.
Token swap.
Yeah, for the taxes, I don't know. I mean, you can't really compare apples to apples because the token was at $7. So,
right. But if you're somebody who bought in March and you waited all year after the token swap, seeing if it would have its blow off top, and then Bitcoin doesn't have its blow off top, and you're at the end of the year and you're down 5 figures, aren't you going to harvest that loss, keep your same amount of VGX, but harvest your loss? Maybe sell off some extra that you might have accumulated, kept maybe a base amount for your loyalty tier, and then just put the rest back in the market, right?
I see what you mean. Yeah.
I mean,
here. Yeah.
Yeah, personally, I mean, if they're holding VGX for that long, I would assume they're just going to rebuy after selling to get that wash. But some people will probably say no thanks.
Yeah. I think it's more the tax loss harvesting and the LGO sell-off, and then just the general market being like the overall market volume was absolutely putrid for the fourth quarter. But it is alarming to go from 20 million accumulation, 10 million to then see that. Because I was right with you. I was thinking, wow, you'd think that we were going to have another quarter of 10 million because we never had anything to really say otherwise, right?
Yeah, it was. I thought it was a typo. I said there was no way this was correct, and finally started sitting in, and I was like, "Holy crap! This isn't a reversal. This is or slowing down. It was like completely stopped dead in its tracks."
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, I wish there's so many different factors that you can try to attribute this to, but I don't know. He just hopefully it's going to be improving shortly with a couple of these product releases that are coming out.
And the other alarming statistic to me is in row 9.
The growth pool, how there still 37 million left.
Yeah, because we were supposed to, with the trading rewards, which started out really well, but have definitely tapered off. Whether that's a volume thing, I've noticed that the spreads have gotten a little bit tighter, and the trade rewards haven't been as good recently. But of course, overall market volumes are down too. But to only use with your favorite sponsorship, the soccer league, in there, you would think that there would be a little bit more growth pool used up, right? But
yeah, it's still kind of unknown. We don't have really any clarity of. I mean, we assume it came out of the growth pool. We did see some tokens move around. We know Voyager still has a little cache of VGX tokens. So, and they mention it in the report, but they don't give you specifics of how that was funded, what it was funded with. I mean, we kind of saw 3 million VGX transferred around that time, which I kind of assumed that was what they funded the accounts with. But we're all really kind of just guessing.
yeah. I think they're saving so much of that for the debit card, because when they 10x their rewards, they know that they're going to be paying those debit card cashback rewards and all the boosters off, in the VGX token, and March Madness is probably coming.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe some VGX giveaway for March Madness if you sign up, that kind of thing going on.
Yeah,
I could definitely see some fill out your bracket and win a boatload of VGX type promo coming.
So here's my concern. I know we're all pretty excited about the debit card and the potential rewards for paying off your mortgage and all the VGX that we're going to be getting back. When you guys see this 375,000, knowing that we had 3 million from the inflation plus another, let's just call it 1.5 million from the growth pool. So it's like 4.5 million minus, it's almost 4 million that was sold off compared to what was bought. Does that give you any reservation when those debit card rewards start getting paid out, which are easily going to be the highest or the most lucrative out of all the perks of the VLP?
I think I want to see next quarter's numbers. I think there was a lot going on in fourth quarter with the LGO, and that I am convinced there's a lot of harvesting going on there. I also, based on looking at some of the wallets, it looks like there might have been some ethos holders sell-offs as well. So, and Steve had kind of alluded to that in some of the interviews that he did around the holidays, and said, hey, we are seeing a lot of the old, large wallets selling off to the newcomers onto the platform. And that's basically reflected here in these numbers. You're seeing verified users and funded accounts increasing, but you're seeing tokens being redistributed. I would have never imagined that the distribution would be that severe, and that the growth pool remaining would be that light for a whole quarter with all the Mavs promo and everything else going on that they did. To me, those were the two big shocks there in row 7 and in row 9. But the funded account, VGX per funded account, is still on the decline. And if that row 11 continues to be on the decline, that helps the supply demand equation.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? I mean, I know I've heard one of your solutions, Obi, and that's, making new VLP tiers. But then I was scrolling through Twitter, and then a lot of people were calling for a coin burn. And I was like, yeah, it kind of makes sense. But after hearing you say, that all these promos that are maybe going to come up, for March Madness and this and that, I'm like, I don't know if that's actually something that might happen then.
I think that there are some pretty heavy promos coming around the debit card. I think the debit card's been delayed by vendors. I don't think MasterCard and Visa have been, with plastic and chip shortages going on. I think they're struggling to meet the demand of all these crypto cards that are coming out, because I'm waiting on other companies' cards too, not just Voyager's. So it's not exclusive to Voyager. Steve was talking about testing the card in fourth quarter, and then he didn't get it on his desk until a week or two ago. So clearly there's a vendor supply chain problem there. That's outside their control. So, but I know that based on the amount of funded accounts that we have and the amount of pre-orders of the debit card, if they can get the checking account in the hands of people, by April, if they can get the 200,000 to 300,000 ballpark of cards and accounts out there, that they can push ahead instead of doing that staged ramp. That's my concern right now, is if they do we'll do 50,000 a month for the next 5 or 6 months, then I'm concerned. But if they're going to say, hey, we're going to do 100,000 a month for the next 2 or 3 months, it's a little bit more palatable.
Yeah.
I mean, it all depends how many tokens are going to be enabled for withdrawals too. Because if they keep the current just ERC20 tokens that you can take off the platform, that's really going to limit the amount that's even going to be burned. So
that they did confirm that they hired some blockchain developers and that they are going to enable more transfers. But what I want to see is, if you pay your withdrawal fee in VGX, that they burn the entire withdrawal fee.
Ooh, that would be nice.
Or half the withdrawal fee. Because one thing I noticed on the Voyager platform, you don't get charged any fees to buy, and you get a little bit of price improvement on the spread, which is nice. I don't mind doing all my buys on the platform. But when you transfer off, it does tend to cost more than on other exchanges. So there's a little bit of profit to kind of support the nodes or whatever. And if they can forego their cut or half their cut, especially if we're paying in VGX and they just burn that, not only does that help us save money and makes customers feel better about transferring things on and off the platform, but it also reduces supply, which helps their marketing pool grow in value. So I think it's a win-win and kind of a no-brainer. After we get off the session here, I think I'll probably put together a thread of just, Pablo Escobar hosted, I think, 5-hour session today, maybe 6 hours on Twitter Spaces, and there was a lot of great community feedback and dialogue on possible improvements. And we were going after just low-hanging fruit, things that we think wouldn't be too difficult to manage, but things that the community would like to see change. And I think if I can put that in a succinct tweet and then have that circulate, people can retweet it, like it. Maybe we can get some attention, and they can use that as a form of customer feedback and save them time and having to do like these feedback sessions and surveys. So here's our feedback, take it.
yeah, if either of you transferred VGX off the platform into another user.
I haven't.
I'm pulling it up right now. It's like $20 to $30 worth of VGX.
It's 20 last time I looked. It varies by Ethereum transaction traffic.
Yeah, like right now it would cost 19 VGX to send anything. So when I lost my bet that VGX wasn't double digits by the end of the year, I had a couple people I had to pay out to. And I'm sure as hell not spending 20 VGX to send 10 VGX. So I went on Coinbase to buy those, and I'm trying to remember, is either $2 or 2 VGX to send it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and if you go look in Etherscan, the gas fee was well above what Coinbase was charging me. So I don't know how they're doing that, why they're doing it, but I certainly took my business there to move those tokens instead of use Voyager.
Yeah, they eat the money right there. And hopefully they made enough money on your trades to kind of offset it, is I think the theory. But Celsius does the same thing. They cover all withdrawal fees. You never pay a single withdrawal fee. Now, it's hard to buy anything or get things on the platform. You got to spend money getting it on, but they don't charge you when you take it off. So I think that's if they want to start burning tokens, that's the most obvious. Like, hey, pay your withdrawal fee in VGX, regardless of whatever that withdrawal fee is. But then we'll feel better about spending VGX to do that because we're removing supply from circulation. Especially if they get Terra and Luna transfers and Elrond transfers on this platform, because I'm going to plug the ones that I like and wish I could buy on platform easier. But think about also the AUM that when the banking card comes out and how much USDC is going to flow onto here with direct deposits.
It's going to explode. You're going to have people moving their savings, their checking account. It's going to explode.
And if they're getting interest boosters paid in VGX for all their spending and savings, that's going to be some significant demand on the token. So I think I'm going to wait the next 6 months and see how these numbers change. I think they'll improve quite a bit, but it really comes down, if they're an execution company, they have to execute in getting the product out the door.
Yeah, so the other big news during the call was Steve bringing up, talking about BlockFi and, the recent fine, the $100 million fine that they paid out, and then said that Voyager had been subpoenaed by the SEC for information about the VLP. So I was kind of curious what you guys, if you had any opinions on that and how that might affect the VLP. Is that why we're possibly seeing a delay right now with 2.0 not coming out? And just, kind of what the ramifications of this, I wouldn't say investigation, just research gathering, I suppose the SEC is doing.
Yeah, I feel like they probably, want to be very cautious with what they do. They wouldn't want to get into any issues with the SEC, but I haven't really looked into, what was the past company that got into some issues with the SEC? It was a pretty big one. Was it Coinbase?
Coinbase, they denied their interest program.
Yeah. Yeah, so interested to see how that's going to play out. I mean, I know that they don't earn their interest in the same way and all that, but yeah.
Well, if the SEC is not going to give any clarity on what is acceptable in terms of helping consumers make money, who are they really working for?
Exactly.
Not us.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's like, what will, I mean, we finally find a way, a good way to make some, passive income, and it's like the SEC is going to come and like snatch that away from the people. But
save me, Uncle Gary.
Yeah, it is possible it has something to do with it. I think it also has something to do with them taking a little bit more time to study the markets they're getting into and what people, what are the socioeconomic situations? What do people typically spend on investing platforms? What other costs is it going to be when we get into Netherlands and France and Spain and Germany? Does a 50 token tier make more sense, or does a 100 token tier make more sense? How long do we want to go before there's a VLP3? There's a lot of things to consider, and then without the debit cards actually being out and getting a gauge for consumer spending on that they have on their existing accounts, that's another variable. They probably are trying to figure out what the ROI looks like, and because of the supply shortage and the delay in getting the cards, which I really think is the reason why they haven't done anything yet. I think that when they get the cards out, they want to also put the VLP revision out with the cards.
All right, guys, I got to go head out and eat some dinner. Get yelled at by the wife for taking too long, but
hey, that's a really good numbers that you have there.
Yeah, those are awesome.
I'll figure out how to share it on my wife's computer here so I can tweet that out if anyone just wants to go look at it on themselves. I just sent out a screenshot, but yeah, happy to share that to whoever wants it. And
yeah, share that out.
Investing guy, I pulled 600 last night, so I'm coming up to your 630. So
you know what, man? I've been losing some weight, so I don't even know if I can pull 600 anymore.
No excuses.
I'm gonna have to try. I haven't tried it in a while. I'm not lying. I've been losing some weight, so I'm definitely focusing on that. But maybe
I ain't losing weight. I'll tell you that much. So
yeah. Hey man,
thanks for having me on.
Thanks, man. Enjoy your dinner. Thanks for hopping on, And take a video of that deadlift. I definitely want to check it out. Tag me in.
All right. See you guys.
All right.
Bye.
See
All
ya.
right, see you, man. Okay, cool. So, hey, Obi, do you want to? I kind of like I see a lot of negativity on Twitter. I was looking on Twitter. The whole VGX, and I understand the sentiment that's going on. I mean, what do you think? What do you feel with the whole VGX sentiment? Like, how do you feel about it? What's going on?
I think the fundamentals are still strong. I think that there's frustration because we've been given historically so much in the past, a little bit of transparency and when we expect certain product launches to happen. And when those deliverables don't happen, they don't get executed in the timeline that has been communicated, it kind of starts to erode at the bridge of trust. And I would prefer the company to, I would rather that they over deliver and under promise on their timelines. I mean, because I'm kind of at the point right now where it's like listening to Elon Musk try to give you a Tesla car delivery timeframe.
By the end of the year.
Whatever he says, just move it back 6 months, 3 to 6 months, right? It's the same thing with Steve. It's like whatever he says, just move it back 3 to 6 months, and you'll start. And then just realize that when it does actually happen, he'll like deliver a little bit and say, "See, I hit the deadline," but it doesn't really come out like people think it would be. I think that's a really apt.
Yeah. Like the debit card, he said it himself, right? They're not just going to go, everyone's going to get their debit card at once. They're going to start very small, and give it to a few people here, see how that goes, and then a few more people, and then more and more and whatnot. So that's another thing to think about too. Not everyone's going to get it at the same time.
Right. Yeah. So many of my models in terms of, well, number one, the VLP 2.0 and the debit card, those have to come out. Those have to come out because the whole year is based on having those deliverables made. I don't really care about international expansion. It'd be nice if we had a lending product before the end of the year. International expansion will happen when it happens. We're not going to see a whole lot of user growth from international expansion in 2022. That's just, we're planting the seeds in 2022 to then hopefully harvest the crop in 2023. Like that 2023 for Europe will be like 2021 for US.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that kind of taking time. I'd rather that it get built right and not have any security or scaling issues, that meets all of the boxes, so they're not getting fined by whichever authority, SEC equivalent in whatever country, right? I'd rather have them have the full product, do it right, do it consistently. Same thing with Canada. Don't put out a lesser product. Wait till you can put your full product out. As you can see with the news in Canada, it seems like they're not much of a democracy up there. So, not a lot of freedom.
Going back to the whole meeting timelines, it's kind of at least for me, like creating videos and whatnot, hyping up the card and the card's gonna come. And I remember back then they said at the end of January, at least when I was creating that one video. And then I get people that go on back into the video they're like, "Hey, it's February now. Like, you lied." I'm like, "Oh man, well now I lied." So it's kind of a bummer on that aspect. So
I think people get really, especially ones that don't have diversity in their investments. They don't have any real estate. They don't have any stocks. Maybe they've gone all in on VGX and they don't have any Bitcoin or Luna or anything to help kind of lessen the impacts and they live and die by what VGX does. That's got to be a pretty stressful life. I don't recommend that. I recommend having some kind of other investments. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? And the other type of group that's pretty vocal usually are just people with the short-term mindset that are just looking for quick flips, and they're frustrated that it's, oh great, now we have to wait longer before we can flip this thing. Sell your stuff and move on. We don't need that. We're looking for long-term holders that want to utilize the platform for what the token's meant for, generate some passive income, maybe replace your job, right? But be in it for the long haul. Um, this is utility tokens are a horrible flipping token. If you want to go flip something, go buy a gambling token.
Go to Omima.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same thing with StormX too. If you're going to buy StormX because you want to use the platform and get the additional rewards for holding the token, or maybe pay for a vacation for yourself for, buying some StormX. But don't buy it just because it's a penny and you want to sell it at 10, because you might be waiting a while. Just buy it because you want to actually use it and take advantage of what it was intended to be. There's plenty of assets out there in crypto that are buy and hold and speculate on price. There's tons of things out there that are yield tokens, and their sole purpose is to return yield. Make sure that when you're making your investments, you know what it is. Is it a store of value? Is it a passive income vehicle, or is it utility?
Agreed. Where would you put VGX under that list?
Utility.
Utility, right?
Utility, yeah. So my three store. So I have Bitcoin, Luna, and eGold as store of values because they have superior tokenomics. They're deflationary or inflationary with a deflationary mechanism like eGold. I can go into it. Like we did that last time, I think. And then utility is StormX and Voyager, because I'm going to spend money at some point anyways. And if I'm going to spend money, I might as well get crypto back and get some discount on when I actually have to go part with the funds, right?
So probably VGX wouldn't be the best if you want it just primarily for yield return, right? Since it's not really created for that.
No, I mean, if you're buying something just solely for the purpose of yield, there's the higher inflationary tokens out there you can buy. There's Polkadot, there's Cosmos, there's there's Osmosis. There's lots of stuff out there that you can buy that are highly inflationary. Yeah. Utility means I'm going to use it because of the advantages it gives me on the platform. Yes, it has a staking mechanism. Yes, it has the ability to be a good passive income generator, but that's the secondary utility of it, not the primary reason for owning.
Exactly. Yeah, well, I don't know. I know when I bought it, it was precisely for the for what it would give me with Bitcoin and my USDC holdings and whatnot. I never really bought it for the yield, the 7%. I was just like, that's icing on, that's a cherry on top, kind of the way that I saw it.
So the 7% is all that you're doing. If you think about it, there is you're maintaining your market share. Mm-hmm. So when you buy it and new tokens are generated, you're getting a cut of those tokens relative to the stake that you have put in. So all that you're doing is but now when dollars are minted, it's not like you're going to get an extra check in the mail that says, "Oh, investing guy, he's got $100,000 and we just inflated the currency by 10%. So let's make sure we give him 10 grand." Right? You're not getting a US dollar staking reward of 10 grand on your 100,000, right?
Yeah.
But that's what staking is in crypto, right? If I've got 100,000 of something and it's a 10% rate, and I should expect to have 110,000 at the end of the year. Now, my market position or my share of the overall tokens, if everybody else held and all things were equal, then I would just maintain my position. But as people sell off, then my ownership stake would increase. So that's the way I look at it. At that, eventually, I'll get to a point where the token appreciation lines up with enough passive income where it makes sense for me to take back some of my time and retire and pay for my investment, and my whole position becomes free. At that point in time, that's when you take profits. But I'm buying it with a long-term mindset of treating it like a rental property. Just keep buying tokens, take houses off the market, collect my 7%, wait for the price to go up, and then at some point sell that house and use it to retire, right? It's the same concept here with VGX.
Exactly. I mean, now I think after the data that we got today, it's kind of clear what you were proposing the other day, the new VLP. I think it's at least in my point of view, it's clear that it's needed. But I really like, by the way, yours, like the time that you put into that the new tiers. You did an awesome job, man. I love. Can you share that? By the way, I need you to share that with me because.
You want to share it again?
Oh, you want to? Yeah, go ahead.
Was that what you're saying? Oh, I know. I have it if you want to see it, but.
Oh yeah, pop it up real fast. Yeah, let's get it. But yeah, share it with me because I want to use it for if I could use it for.
Oh, I see. You want me to send you the file? I got
video.
you. Let me go back here.
Yeah, I'll make a copy or something. But if you want to share it, pop it up right now. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
Give me a second. Someone's calling me over and over again, so let me just pick up. I just want to make sure it's not an emergency. I'll be right back. All right.
Okay. Oh, Luna. Let's see. I can't see the comments.
All right, there we go. I'm back. It was not an emergency.
Oh, good. I apologize if you hear all of the playtime with Luna in the background. They're having lots of giggles in the other room.
Yeah.
So this is this spreadsheet, right?
Yeah, that one. There.
Yeah. This is what we desperately need right here is this tier. Steve mentions that there's 200,000-ish people waiting for cards. If you kind of were to, read between the lines, that's probably a decent estimate on the amount of the Voyager membership right now, or the VLP membership.
How many, by the way, how many are in the VLP? Do you know the numbers?
We don't know an exact number. We just know the amount of tokens held. But given the amount of tokens we know are in the 154 million range, and there's 200,000 people waiting on debit cards, I would take that we're somewhere about 18% of the funded accounts are in the VLP.
Yeah, I think that that debit card for sure is gonna it has to bump up the amount of people that want to be in the VLP because I mean if you want the debit card, you want the best use for it, you got to be in the VLP.
Oh, 100%. You have to be in the VLP, and anybody who's in today at the adventurer tier is going to make up a significant share of the total customer base. So even at 20%, excuse me, penetration, and let's say we get to, I think I had it estimated at the last calculator we were looking at was like 245.
Yeah.
So even at 20%, like even if that didn't increase, which it will when the banking product is announced, but hey, let's just plug in today's numbers in, shall we? Just kind of mess with it. So we have what, 174, and roughly it's probably, I'm going to say 18%. So if people ask the question, well, how many navigators are there? How many explorers are there today? It's probably, obviously some of these numbers here, because this tier doesn't exist, would be up here. But you're probably in the 1,000 range of navigators, 400 to 1,000. So I would say that there's probably 10,000 explorers, and then somewhere in the ballpark of 150,000 to 175,000 adventurers. If I had to kind of guess what it looks like today, that's probably not too far off. Just going off of comments of what we've heard with 200 and something thousand cards and 150 something million tokens, it's probably in that kind of a ballpark. So it kind of goes back to that classical 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the supply held by 20%.
I see what you mean.
It's a pretty common rule of math. It seems to check out a lot. Now, even so, looking at that, right? You just don't have a whole lot of accounts in these upper tiers, and so if people, for whatever reason, decided to sell out of those larger tiers and redistribute the tokens, because we don't have this lower tier to kind of drive the demand, you come into the token situation that we're in right now, where there was only 300,000 net accrual in the last quarter.
Yeah.
So
Man.
this is vital. You have to get a 50 token tier out there. Have to.
50 or 100, something just lower than 500. Well, a lot lower than 500.
Yeah,
Man,
it
but
could
I
be
like
50, it could be 100, but it needs to be in that range.
Yeah, for sure. Man, there's just what I've seen. I know at least for me, I want a lockup period for sure. That's one of the things that I definitely want to see. I want to see lockup periods, and then obviously I want to see new VLP tiers, and then also implemented a burn tier. So I think that those three things. I mean, sorry, a burn tier, a burn mechanism, right? So those three things would be. I think if they can implement those three things, it'd be wow, awesome for VGX. Like it would. I think that's what it needs to be successful.
Yeah, really what it is we just need the product out so that we can use up the growth pool. Yeah. And the more, if we can get to 3 million plus funded accounts and have debit cards in the hands of 500,000 people by the end of the year, things are going to be all right.
Yeah.
If we can't get debit cards or checking accounts, at least in the 500,000 ballpark by the end of the year, and we don't have a lending product, it's going to take a little bit longer. Maybe we get it by the first half of 2023. It's coming. We might have to adjust our expectations 6 to 12 months, but it'll happen. I don't have any doubts that it won't. If maybe we'll get a chance to vote of whether or not we even have a growth pool in the next year, or maybe we vote to lower the 7%. There's a whole bunch of different levers that can be pulled, but I'm not going to, edit my my thesis that we need to go adjusting those things until we have the product suite out in the hands of the customers and we start seeing the roadmap being executed. Like we need to give this super early young company time to get their legs underneath them and get the product out the door, work with all their vendors, get customer service online, get international expansion going, get Market Rebellion to deliver the stock trading platform, continue to scale. I mean, there's so many things and they're running in parallel on a lot of them. It's only a matter of time before all those parallel paths start to converge, and then we're just flooded with product. Yeah. And I think that's what Steve's vision is just you have all these parallel teams working on these different projects, and then you start in maybe 3 to 6 month time frame. It's just overwhelmingly exciting with this product is coming this month and this product is coming next month. It's like, whoa,
Yeah. Hey, by the way, if the audio is cutting off, my bad, guys. There's someone downstairs running Netflix. So, yeah, my bad if the audio is a little choppy.
Yeah, it's good on my end.
Okay.
But yeah, I think.
Yeah,
I don't think we're too far off. I mean, I know it's disappointing to see some of the numbers that we were going over, and and that's okay. It's okay to be frustrated and to voice concerns. It's just do it, constructively in a way that is helpful. I mean, this is, an investment, right? And investments have timelines that are longer than 12 months. So,
Hey, do you want to end this off with a quick TA, Obi? How do you feel?
Oh, what do you want to look at?
We could look maybe at VGX and Bitcoin.
Oh, TradingView. Is that what's going on in the comments? Do we have any questions?
Does anyone have any last questions? Any questions?
Plug this in too. There. Okay.
Oh, okay. Cool, Chris. I'm glad it's working now. Awesome.
Let's see what pops up.
Wonder Woman's back. Hey, Wonder Woman.
Nice. All right. Can you see that all right? Let's see.
Yeah, there we go. You can see it good.
Okay. I'm going to have to adjust this. So I like to look at the weekly. I like the longer time frames to get more macro trending. I don't like to look at short time frames. Unless I'm making a buy that day within maybe a period of hours or so, I'm going to try to look at higher time frames. So last time we were going through some TA, we were looking at these. The last time we had undo whatever that last change was. Last time we were kind of looking at. Did that move over one? No. We were looking at the bearish cross of the weekly RSI here, and then the bullish cross that basically turned into that 7-month run from October to April, before we started getting bearish divergence on the weekly RSI. As the market was going up, the RSI started coming down. That should have been our sign right in here. Hey, it's probably time to take profits. Yeah. A lot of people missed it, lots of euphoria. And then we got 3 months. So basically that May through July, late July, we didn't recover until then. We got another bearish cross of the RSI designated by this green line. And then we saw July to November. So, another 3 to 4 months. You had a little bit of a breather here. Go up, and then before we had the next bearish divergence or bearish cross on the RSI. And then last time we were talking about, we were just completing an Elliott wave to the downside, kind of heading towards the 200 exponential. And I said, hey, I think we're going to go sideways between 41 and 44. Remember that?
That's exactly what's been happening.
That is exactly. It did play out, and it is setting up another one of these bullish crosses down here on this RSI. Let me move this to the upper screen. Is that easier to see?
Yeah, that's better there.
Let's make it big. So let me get rid of my circle here. I just kind of had those for visual. So we are right here. You're starting to see the RSI flatten out. It hasn't quite yet passed this this moving average, but we're probably another week or so from seeing another one of these bullish crosses, just like we did right here. So if we go back to what happened the last time we had that bullish cross in July, we saw July to here. So we did a move that was 17 weeks with a 127% increase.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right now, how many green candles do we have on the weekly? Do we have 1, 2?
We have a doji top, and then two. Well, this week, if it stays its course, will be the second green week in a row.
The second green week.
Yeah.
Wow. So we can see a few more green weeks if it plays out like last time.
Yeah, so I'm expecting that this crossover happens. And if we get above this this gold line right here, this dark gold line, that's the 200 exponential. If we close above that, look what happened here. To close above the exponential, bull. Then we fell down. We've been waiting to recover. Same thing back here. You cross over that 200 exponential. It's kind of like your bullish market support band number. If you kind of go back throughout history, and let me move let me get rid of this wave. It might be too hard to see, but this yellow line right here, you can see that once we kind of got out of it here in the COVID crash, once we got above it, we've more or less stayed above. We rode it a few times into some, the deep throes of the summer, and then we've kind of been under it lately. But this is really this past 6 weeks or so is really the first time we've had a quote unquote bear market. It just looks like it's going to be short lived, And that's if you assume that the 200 exponential moving average is, how you define your bear trend.
Yeah.
But it looks like we're coming out of it. And if we can turn that into support, we can flip that, then you get up to this 1618 extension, and that would put us up in the low 70,000 range. So that would test a new high. These green vertical lines are previous lines of support and resistance. So that's like, once we get over this 200, that's kind of what we're going to bump up next before getting into that 70 range. So we're going to bump up at the high 50s, and then again, maybe consolidate a little bit for a week or two, hit the low 60s. And there's not a whole lot stopping Bitcoin once you clear 58K from getting up into the low 70s before you stop for a little breather.
Yeah.
That little breather could be the people paying taxes. Could take us out here to this fib extension May 16th before maybe there's some sell-off time here in mid-April through May. People kind of gather their funds and then get ready for continuation mid-May. And then we could be looking at between now and May, we could see one of these 3 or 4 month uptrends, or we could see a longer, 6 or 7 months, something taking us out to mid-August.
Yeah. Right on. So it's looking good. And then another thing too to see is that the by the way, sorry guys if my voice is too exciting, by the way, they're calling you the financial Bob Ross, Obi-Wan. They're saying that your voice is very calm. Hey, it is, man.
Oh.
I love your voice. So you can check it out. Obi, alter ego, Mint Bob Ross. Sorry to interrupt the soft voice, but another thing that I'm excited about too is that we kind of saw the markets today kind of just flip, and now everyone out of nowhere is just kind of feeling, well, at least the sentiment that I felt from the stock market was like, I'm feeling bullish, feeling bullish. So hopefully if that keeps up, things are aligning. It might play out like you're mentioning right now.
Yeah, one other thing I would just kind of point out is that because of the extended down, the pain that we've been experiencing, the RSI is pretty low. Up here, when we were really, really hot in the market, we were up in the 90s in the RSI for quite an extended period of time. That's only happened like 2 or 3 times in Bitcoin's history.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we were really extended up here, but look how low we are right now. If we get into one of these 6 or 7 month type stretches, there's even more room to run from an RSI perspective than there was at this bullish cross that happened at 62. We're looking at a bullish cross somewhere in the ballpark of mid 40s.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's possible. They come out and they don't mess with rates too much. Anything less than half %, especially with like a spot ETF news, could really send this into some flurry.
Yeah. Should we check out VGX? Let's see what it's looking like.
Oh, let's go the Binance USD equivalent, because that's probably our longer chart. It looks like it goes back to the VLP swap.
Oh yeah. That doesn't go so far, right? So maybe going to, is it in weekly right now? Weekly candles?
Yeah.
There we go. That looks a little bit better.
Yeah, this particular the main thing here is the story of EGX. See all these itty bitty lines right here that you can barely see?
It's the volume.
That's the volume. And there's just not a lot of trading going on. You had some trading back here. We had the VLP token launch, and then a lot of sideways, and then you had Dallas Mavericks, and you got a boost, and then back to sideways, and then you got some. What were we looking? Let's see, what was going on at the end of November? Was that just the little bit of a run Bitcoin had before it crashed again?
The end of November. I think it was also the listing, right? And that was when it went absolutely crazy. Was when it was listed on. What was it listed?
Coinbase was December, and we're looking at the
Was it
Binance chart, but we can look at
Okay.
the VGX Coinbase. Yeah, so it launched on Coinbase on the 18th of November.
Oh, I see.
So if we go back,
I guess it was probably just the run with Bitcoin then, huh?
yeah, it was just a Bitcoin. The last gasp of Bitcoin in 2021. The VGX rose with it all the way up to 590 on Binance on a high wick
Yeah.
on a big volume candle.
Yeah.
And when I say big, I'm talking 12 million that day. So look at these volumes. When VGX takes off, you got 10 million, 11 million, 12 million, 10 million. So if we can get 10 million plus in volume on any single exchange, you're going to see VGX absolutely fly. But what do you see down here? You're seeing, lots of this. Again, we just went over the quarterly report. Look at the volumes. If we look on a monthly basis, remember Binance is where a lot of the liquidity is. Nearly half the volume of VGX trades on Binance. The other half is usually Coinbase. Look at this volume drop off.
Wow.
This is why we didn't see that big token accumulation of the tens of millions that we saw before. Because look at the volume. I mean, we were seeing what, 43 million, 70 million, 84 million worth of volume in September, October, November, but December crashed hard to 21 million, and and basically January is even worse. January is 12 million, and then February 4.5, and we're halfway through February. So first quarter right now, there's just no volume.
No volume.
There's no volume. So I mean, we can get upset that the token's not moving, but I don't know how any clearer way to show you why the token isn't moving in price. It's because there's not enough volume.
Yeah. Nothing can move without volume. All right. He got his answer. Yeah. So rookie. So the rewards 1%, 2%, and 3% depending on their tier level. Exactly. Well said, Chris.
So right here we've got the Coinbase listing, and this is just monthly candles. Coinbase was 87 million in volume the first month, 59 million, 30 million, 9 million. So the same trend that we're seeing on the Binance chart, we're seeing here on the Coinbase chart.
So they just drop in volume.
It's just drop in volume. So I don't get bent out of shape about the token price movement. What really I want to see is product being delivered, and I want to see token supply coming off the market. I want to see this volume kick up. So we talked about, hey, the stock fundamentals are looking, they're doing the right thing. So now when we talk Voyager fundamentals, we have to see volume pick up in conjunction with the funded accounts growing, because we need to see people buying this token and using it for the utility of the platform.
Yeah.
So so basically what we're saying in a nutshell is customers aren't aware of the utility that the VGX token provides to the platform. So we have very low awareness, but when we do have awareness, we see very good price action.
So that's what I'm thinking. When something gets released, whatever it is, I mean, it's almost inevitable. We're probably going to see some green candles here. It's just time of waiting for product, like you said. When the product shows, I think that's when the green candle also shows.
Now we do have a little bit of upwards movement here on the RSI. You know what? Let's kill the RSI. Let's look at let's add a stochastic, which is a little bit more sensitive to short-term price action than a regular RSI.
Hey,
So,
Rookie, by the way, hey, Rookie, if you're not a VGX hero, definitely join, man. Awesome community. Anyone that's not, anyway, by the way, if anyone's watching that's not a VGX hero, join the community. Awesome community, best crypto community out there. So definitely join, hit them up, hit up, VGX heroes on Twitter, and they'll walk you through the process. Awesome community. Go for it.
yeah, absolutely. What I'm seeing here in terms of the stochastic is, we could sit going sideways in this $2 range for a little bit. But if we start getting a little bit of good news coming out, we'll push this 225, kind of probably bump up here in the 240 range. If we can get oversold for a few days and kind of ride a wave up a little bit like we did here to here. So, from the point we became oversold to this move here, what is that? So from here to here, really to when we ended oversold, we were 15% move there. So a nice little 15% move from $2, that could take us up to this 240 range, 230, 240 range. Then maybe it'll reestablish the floor there. As long as we take the supply off and steadily put volume in, I'm good with the token.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, with the token, I'm not real. I honestly don't even look at the price anymore. It's just more like, let's just wait for product. And I know that I have conviction inside me that once the product shows, once the platform grows, so will the token. So it's definitely a long-term play for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we do a Q&A? What do you think? Q&A?
Sure.
Yeah. All right. If anyone has any questions, start putting them down. And if you want to wrap up the TA, OB, go for it. But any questions, put them on the chat, and we'll try to answer them to the best of our ability. Meet the community too. Yeah. So VGX _ heroes is the one that you're looking for, Rookie. That's the Twitter account. But if you want to follow OB also has a Twitter account. He has it right there. His @ right there if you want to follow him. And then mine is just YT Investing Guy. YT Investing Guy, I believe, on Twitter. So if you guys want to follow.
Yeah. I mean, we can look at other things if you want to do TA, or we can go back to Voyager, or we can.
Yeah, I mean, anyone have any? Do we have any questions? Let me scroll up on the chat, see if we have any questions. But any questions, go ahead and pop them on there. If not, we'll start wrapping it up. Let's see. I'm trying to go here. I just see a bunch of the OB Ross comments, man. Those had to be cracking up. Definitely. Who was it? Wonder Woman was coming in with the Baroness and Wonder Woman were coming in with the hot comments. Let's see. Someone wants to know your long-term VYG VF price target, and that's from Daniel. So that one there, Obi. What's your long-term price target for VYG VF?
Oh, yeah. Well, let's look. It all comes down to product delivery, and this is Lucky Luciano's spreadsheet. And if we get product execution done, and we get to, if Voyager token today met the market cap of Crow of 12.5, so let's check Crow real quick. I think Crow is a decent comparison because they have a card and they have a token supply that gets locked up for utility of the card. And so it's similar to Voyager in that regard. Their market cap is exactly 12.5. So this is in the ballpark here. Let's maybe drop it down to 39.30 or so.
Yeah. So Daniel was asking for the stock, but again, like we talked about earlier, the VGX price directly affects Voyager stock because they hold VGX, right? And also same thing with Bitcoin. They're a big holder of Bitcoin. I don't remember. I remember looking at some of the top companies that hold Bitcoin. Obviously, you have your Tesla and then MicroStrategy, and then Voyager was somewhere on there in the top 10. I remember seeing that, so that was interesting to see. But
yeah, I don't see why Voyager couldn't be they're a 1 billion to 2 billion company size now. I don't see any reason why they can't be 100 billion plus by the end of the decade.
mm-hmm.
The stock is trading really low. I have no idea if the stock splits, in today's stock terms. I think a triple figure stock is reasonable expectation this decade, especially as crypto continues to expand and starts to take market share from other investment classes.
Yeah.
Then I think that's realistic. I mean, if you want to look at comps, you can look at Square, you can look at PayPal, you can look at MasterCard, you can look at Visa. What are those market caps of those companies? That's the kind of range and that's the sandbox that Voyager could be playing in.
Well, even what's the market cap for something like, I would say something like Coinbase, right? Even something like that you get a little bit more of a connection there. I'd be interested to see what the Coinbase market cap is now, and then also looking at the market cap that BYGBF also has right now, and then we kind of make a accurate price target from that. Do we see? Yeah, there it is.
Keeps wanting me to go to.
But then again, this was your price prediction, Obi.
Hey,
I'm
using comparisons.
Yeah,
I'm using comparisons of, though we did it earlier. Like right now, if you were to fairly value Voyager, based on looking at Coinbase and Robinhood and their price to sales, I mean, I think we had it right here. Let's go right here. One of these videos.
Yeah, where we saw, I think it was one of Raven's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Diamond Hands Investing. She had that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Maybe it was this video right here.
There it is. Yeah.
If you were to value the stock fairly today at a 20 to 25 multiple, it should be around $30.
And those are PE ratios?
This is price to sales ratio.
Price to sell. Got it.
Yeah. I mean, they're growing their revenue 200% a year, something like that.
Yeah.
They're growing their funded accounts, double to triple funded accounts probably this year. Probably going to double to triple next year. Beyond that, might slow down a little bit. Depends on where they expand to. But I mean, for the next 2 years, they should double their funded accounts. And then, like I said, who knows what 2025 will be from a user growth perspective.
Yeah.
But let's just 2025. I mean, you've got the next halving. You've got the technology is just another step further. You're going to have tons of people, past that early adopters phase, and we're into the early majority phase of a technology adoption curve. You'd be crossing the 1 to 2 billion users in the world phase in that 2025, 2026 timeframe, if things continue at their current levels. So, yeah, I mean, you tell me, if you get the financial lifestyle app of the future that should be worth 30 today, and it's only $1 billion stock, and it's going to be the place, it's going to take a lot of share from Robinhood. It's going to take a lot of share from the banks.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of trading activity away from Coinbase and FTX too.
Exactly.
It's just a matter of time before it's a household brand.
Yeah. Do your own research, but I'm going to hop on tomorrow on my Roth IRA and add another and make another purchase. I think.
Yeah, I mean, dare to dream. If it doesn't meet your investment thesis, I'm sure it'll be up. But if it's not going to get to, say it tops out at $75 and doesn't get to 100 plus, oh darn, you made 10x. Right?
Yeah. Let's go down the list of questions here. We have Winston Churchill. Was the Market Rebellion announcement just their podcasting? Are you aware of that? Not really.
I didn't hear the Market Rebellion stuff. I know that there's supposed to be news, but I haven't seen any.
All right, let's go on to a need. Do you think that the more active users that Voyager has, the more they will reduce their APY on cryptos, as well as USDC 9%? So, I don't know. What do you? Me for one, I think that being realistic, I do think that the 9% on USDC will eventually come down. I'm not sure when, but like I tell my family ask me this, like, hey, how long can I use the 9% for 10 years? And I tell them probably not. But since it's here, take advantage of it. What do you think?
I think the more, and I put it on the screen, but the more they diversify this revenue stream, the more sustainable it is. The rehypothecation or the lending, the revenue that comes from lending, which we saw significant amounts of revenue from in the December quarter, but hardly any of in the September quarter. That's kind of cyclical based on market conditions and sales cycles and all that's kind of going on from a macroeconomic view. So there will be times where they do really well when it comes to those services and times where they don't. But this merchant services and this staking revenue is going to continue to climb. It wasn't too long ago where over 70% of the revenue stream was coming from trading transactions, and now it's half. And Steve mentioned today when asked, do we expect the staking revenue to continue to climb relative to assets for lending? And he said yes. He didn't give a timetable, but he does expect that staking revenue will pass fees from loaned. And in that case, depending on the returns they get on staking and what they pass through, those dollars are going to be, used to pay that 9% too. So if one thing we know is certain, Voyager does a really, really good job of prioritizing paying rewards to customers. You can see it's 73 million right here. So they brought in 165 million. 73 million of it went to existing customers. 35 million of it went to attracting new customers. And then the rest is just your general administration, employees, etc.
Yeah. So one thing that I definitely don't want to see is kind of like what crypto.com did. They spent so much money on, naming a stadium when they could have spent that money on their, rewarding their users. So, I definitely do want to see, some good marketing and stuff like that, but not where money is just spent, thrown at something like that. And I don't know.
Yeah. Well, what you said, eventually this market cap, and I'm talking crypto in its totality, is going to move from a $2 trillion market cap to a $20 trillion market cap to a 100 trillion plus market cap. When that happens is we don't know exactly. We can take existing historical data and technology adoption curve models, and we can come up with a pretty decent estimation of approximately when that would happen. There's certain things you can't predict, like black swan events and global economic things that you can't quite factor into all models. But if we just kind of think through it logically, if eventually derivatives and stocks and real estate money is eventually going to move into digital forms of property and equities, right? Yeah. Well, that means crypto. So
exactly.
It's a zero-sum game, the amount of production of goods and services in the world and the amount of currency floating around. I think one of the better questions to ask is, at what point does the illusion of fiat finally crumble?
Yeah. Hey, Rookie, congrats, man. So we have check that out, Obi. So Rookie, I used Voyager for a year without owning VGX until today. Congrats, man. Congrats
Nice.
on owning VGX. I think he said he bought 500 today. That's awesome, dude.
That's great.
Yeah.
That'll literally pay for itself when you get the debit card and 1% cash back. Let's play with Lucky's calculator.
Yeah, so Rookie, do the calculations, right? Because when I bought VGX, my first big chunk, I kind of did the calculations and, earning rewards and stuff like that. And I saw that after holding it, I think it was like 5 years. After holding it for 5 years, it would pay for itself. So kind of go ahead and do the calculations, with your Voyager and with your VGX and with the rewards that you would earn and the extra boost that you would get and stuff like that. And
yeah, and this is just putting it in USDC. So let's look at the debit card back. So Adventure, and that costs roughly $1,000, and then the price is 2. So you're going to be getting 60 tokens a year, five tokens at $10, 127% yield on that is 128 in 1 year. So that's just off of the monthly spending amount. Sorry, that's not the amount to acquire. So let's say that you spend $6,000 a month. That's kind of in the ballpark of what a lot of people spend. So you would be getting $770 back within 1 year, just from debit card spending, not from the yield from the staking token, which you would also say you put 1,000 in now and you don't put any dollars in, you're going to get, after 1 year, an additional $99 of yield off of the staking, the USDC, and the 9% savings. And then if you spend 6,000 a month, you'll get 770. So literally in a year, that investment pays itself, and it's free from there forward.
So yeah, so Rookie, like you said, just do the calculations. You saw right there, it pays for itself. Eventually, it'll pay for itself.
Well,
that's the reason why I hold it now.
Here's another scenario: the token goes from 2 to 4, it pays for itself in half the time.
Yep. All right, let's see the other comments that we have here. I think having a live support chat in a couple of months will be huge too. Definitely, I think that's coming, right? Live support chat.
Yeah, they need to hire people, and they have to be highly trained, because when you're dealing with people's finances, especially in industries where companies and humans are the biggest risk for assets, you have to train staff to not give out personal information and to not allow fraudsters to kind of try to take information and get an advantage to your account. So you have to have highly skilled customer service representatives. And then you have to consider that the only roughly 3% of the world is in crypto, and probably less than that actually understand what they've gotten themselves into. So you have to have somebody trained up to understand crypto and OPSEC. And that's a pretty unique skill set to train and to make sure they're compliant in all the rules and regulations that they have to follow. So it's going to take time to hire that staff, get them trained, compensate them properly. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. That's probably already in the works, but there's a lot that goes into that. I think some people just kind of assume it's just like calling up so-and-so needs to help me at the bank do this thing, and it's scripted. It's not quite that. It's a little bit more nuanced. It's more like calling a customer care of a cell phone provider and then having them troubleshoot how to use your phone, and they have to deal, well, what operating system are you on, and which phone do you have, and what network are you using? They have to kind of look all those things up, right? Same thing here with crypto, and then you get into, can they offer advice? Are they a licensed financial advisor, or can they only do technical support, right? Like, what level of customer service are we talking here?
Oh man, yeah. Hey, should I spend $100 on SHIB or Doge?
Yeah. Well, let me figure out that calculation for you. And should you or should you not? That's up to you. It's for sure. So, have that on a recorded line. So,
Oh man.
So
I
anyways,
wonder if
there's a
some-
lot to consider there. It's not. I totally agree that it would go a long way, especially with banking. And I think it's easier to get a banking services customer support. There's call centers that you could contract that specialize in that. But crypto being so unique and niche still, that's a specialized skill set. And you definitely want to make sure that the people you're hiring are equipped to handle the task.
Yeah. Anid had another question here. So this one, let's see. So I need to ask if the price of Voyager token is $2 right now at 2 million active users and Coinbase has 60 million. Do you think that when Voyager reaches 60 million, user token will be priced at 120 considering? So actually, Anid, I actually did this mistake where I was kind of pricing the VGX token with the active growth users. And you can definitely scroll down some of my price predictions on VGX. And you'll see that that's what I was looking at. I was looking at the exponential growth of users, and then, if this many, we get like a 50% growth in users, then VGX will go up 50%. So that, as we can see, that didn't turn out. That's not how it turned out. And I think, speculating just off growth was my biggest mistake. So definitely, I think instead of looking at the growth of active users, kind of thinking the way that Obi is saying is probably safer, and saying that they're implementing the things that they are, and that they're actually giving us the product that they're saying. I think that's what's really going to drive up the price, even if the growth, let's say growth is only let's say 10%, right? Let's just imagine that growth is only 10% this year, but they execute on an excellent product or an excellent, VLP for VGX. We can definitely see the price of VGX go up by more than 10%, maybe 100% or 200%, depending on how well they execute, the VLP. So I think that was one of my biggest mistakes. Just looking at the price of VGX with the amount of users. So hopefully that helps, Anid.
Yeah. So what I was doing when I was building this particular calculation model is I just put a starting point that was relative to a comp. Like, can they get there by the end of the year? Is it possible? Sure. But if we just conservatively just adjust this down to matching the previous all-time high, granted with a higher supply, this would be breaking the previous all-time high. But just kind of put it into perspective here. This is the existing supply plus the growth pool that comes out in September, plus about what we're making in new tokens through staking, which is roughly about 5% inflation, not 7%, because only 70% of the tokens are staked. So if you were to have 5,000 tokens, $7, you'd have 35 grand. If the customer growth is to go up 6% per month, and you compound that growth, that would get us to 2.4 million funded accounts by the end of the year, with a token supply of 317 million, with an average token supply of 131. So if there's sufficient demand and adoption of the VLP, and it's not 18 to 20% like we estimate it is now, let's say if it moves up to 33 to 50%, then there's going to be more demand than there is tokens. But until we can get to a point where that marketing growth pool supply is exhausted and the supply on the exchanges becomes thin, the price is largely going to remain somewhat stable, with the exception of adoption of the VLP. It's all about the adoption of the VLP, and token ownership is what it comes down to.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
And that comes down to the company executing on products and getting their product roadmap delivered quickly. If the longer it takes for them to deliver product, the further back we have to adjust any model, or we have to adjust the growth rate assumptions, right? So if we just kind of take it conservative and say, hey, they can get back to the $7 at 2.4 million funded accounts, which again would be lower than what Coinbase did with lesser products in a similar market environment. They went from 1 million to 2.8. So again, very realistic number. year 2, that doubled up to 4.8 million. You've got Europe on board. You got more demand for the token. If the price of the token were to grow at the same rate of funded account growth, you'd be looking at a $14 VGX. And then a
There
28,
you go, Anid.
and then a
Those are
57,
your price
and then
tickets.
114.
Yeah.
So the model works until it doesn't. all models are made to be broken. But the numbers that we're plugging in here aren't pie in the sky numbers. They're very realistic based on market comparables and based off of network adoption rates that we see in other industries.
Yeah, for sure.
And of course the tokenomics.
Yeah, so need a tier for 1,000 VGX holders. Man, imagine if it's like a 6-tier system. Eventually, maybe. I don't know.
I'm concerned if, I think that having a basic tier, which is where the majority of your users are going to fall because they just don't know about VGX, or maybe they don't want to bank through Voyager.
Yeah.
The majority of your customers, 90% or so, are going to fall in this Trailblazer tier or whatever they call this tier. So if you can get in the Adventurer to Navigator tiers today, you'll probably end up in the top 10% of the customer base or so in a few years. So it's a really great opportunity to get in early. So it's a good opportunity to secure some utility of the rewards tiers that you want out of the platform at a relatively inexpensive price.
Yeah. You're gonna have to share this one with me because I'm planning a video. It'll be some of the stuff that that hypothetically speaking that Voyager can implement, and this is definitely one thing that I want to highlight in that video. So definitely, I'll send you my email through DM so you can share that with me for sure.
And I even put a secondary sheet in here that kind of gives you the rate of navigators possible just with funded account and token supply growth. Like even if you just kind of do like 100,000 customers a month and
I see
1 million token increase a month, it just kind of gives you an illustrative example of kind of what that curve, the further you go out in time, the rarer and rarer it is that as a percent of the customer base, the available navigators decreases.
Yeah.
Same thing happens, by the way, for explorers. Like if we change this name to explorers and we took this 20,000 down to 5,000, right? And we were to copy that down. Come on, double click. Let me just.
That's a possible number. Yeah.
Then your navigator, your explorer tier, right? It'd be 5-6% of your customer base, and that could dwindle down to 2% of your customer base. So, like, yeah, I mean, it's very realistic that these tiers today that are actually somewhat affordable. The explorer tier is only going to cost somebody what, 10 grand. I mean, it's not a small amount of money for most people, but it's something that's attainable.
Yeah.
So
it kind of reminds me of like when seeing those percentages. Kind of reminds me of like a like right now there's like a land. Everyone's fighting for land. I want land. I'm willing to pay this much for land. Like, what if that happens? There for VGX. So
right.
Interesting to see. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it's completely plausible. It's just math. These aren't. There's no bias in math. You just kind of pick an assumption that you're going to start with. That's the only subjective part is what your input is into the model. The rest is just formulas.
Yeah.
So
thanks, Chris, for sure. So definitely couldn't have done it without Obi. Obi's always going in, man. Always going in. So yeah.
I like this though because you could look out. You could kind of think. Well, what does this look like in 2035? What does this look like in 2036? And if we still have a US dollar that is worth anything, then yeah, I mean, you'd have a scarce asset, regardless if dollars are what you measure it in the future, or if it's Satoshis or something else. You have a piece of the supply of only so many determined by math. Just remember that. the crypto mindset and putting your money into something, you know what the supply and the stock to flow is, which is something you don't know with dollars because they're completely imaginary and they can inflate to infinity at any moment.
They can print as many as they want whenever they want.
That's right. So
Yep.
don't measure your time and the value of your assets in a imaginary transactional piece of paper. Fed coupons.
Yep, Fed coupons. I like it. If we don't have any more questions, last questions? I'm retiring. This is even ballpark. Exactly. Look at this. He's retiring in 2026. I like it, Winston. If we don't have any more questions, I think we could wrap this up, Obi. I'm getting a little hungry, man, and there's tacos waiting for me downstairs. I'm excited, man. I'm excited for some tacos.
That's what I had.
Oh, nice, man. Wait,
Yeah.
is it Tuesday?
Yep.
It's Tuesday. Taco Tuesday. Look at that.
Taco Tuesday.
That's why there's tacos downstairs. All right. Well, I'm ready for some tacos. Any last questions? I had a ton. Yeah, Need. Thank you, man. You had some really good questions. Thanks everyone for stopping by. Thank you, Obi. Like always, man, you're the man. I mean, I'm telling you, you need a YouTube channel, Obi. You get so many subscribers so fast. It's you need a YouTube.
Well, maybe when I quit my 9 to 5, then
there you go.
maybe then.
maybe then for sure. All right. Thanks everyone for stopping by. Obi, thank you so much, man. You're the man. You always break it down in an easy way to understand. Most knowledgeable dude I know in crypto.
Well, thanks. I'll take it. I don't know if it's true, but I'll take it.
All right. It looks like Floki's saying Donnie Darko's leading the weekly buy.
Oh, the weekly buy, the Friday buy ritual.
Weekly. So there you go for the heroes. So he's leading the buy today for sure. Awesome. So be on the lookout for that. This guy, I barely. Say my name. It's like the full name. Yeah, no, I'm not. You got me, man.
Yeah.
I barely got it.
Yeah, it's a Simpsons type name.
Yeah, for sure. I barely got it till now. I'm always calling him Anita Need. Good one, guy. Good one, Mr. Moorhead. All right. All right. Have a good night, everyone. Obi, have a good night. And well, I'll catch you guys on the next one.
All right.
See ya.